Imagine a world where death is just a temporary inconvenience, where your thoughts, memories, and very consciousness can be uploaded, stored, and even resurrected. Sounds like science fiction, right? A distant dream, perhaps? But what if I told you that in a quiet corner of the internet, a project is already underway, meticulously collecting the digital remnants of the deceased, aiming to construct a form of digital immortality, not in some far-off future, but right now? And what if the implications of this digital afterlife are far more unsettling than any utopian promise could ever suggest? Because the truth about living forever might just be the most terrifying secret of all. For as long as humanity has existed, the concept of escaping death has been a constant, haunting preoccupation. From the ancient Egyptians painstakingly preserving their pharaohs for an eternal journey, to the alchemists of the Middle Ages feverishly searching for the elixir of life, the desire to transcend our mortal coils is deeply ingrained. Fast forward to the 21st century, and while we might have stopped mummifying our leaders, the quest for immortality has merely evolved, trading ancient rituals for cutting-edge technology. Today, a new breed of visionaries, often operating on the fringes of mainstream science, are championing what they call digital immortality, the ultimate escape from biological decay. This isn't about extending life inside a failing body. It's about transcending the body entirely. It's about the audacious belief that consciousness, the very essence of who we are, isn't some ephemeral spiritual energy, but rather an intricate pattern of information. And if it's information, then theoretically it can be digitized, copied, and stored. Entire organizations, fueled by billions in venture capital and an almost religious zeal, are dedicated to radical life extension and even mind uploading. They operate with a chilling certainty that death is merely a problem to be solved, not an inevitable end. But what happens when you start playing God with the very fabric of existence? What happens when the solution looks less like a miracle and more like a carefully constructed digital prison? The journey to this digital afterlife begins subtly, almost innocuously, with the data we leave behind. Every tweet, every photo, every email, every forgotten search query, it's all part of the digital breadcrumb trail of our lives. Companies like the infamous Hereafter AI and others operating in the burgeoning grief tech sector are already leveraging this data. Their pitch is simple and alluring. Preserve your loved ones in a conversational AI, allowing you to interact with a digital avatar, a chatbot ghost of the deceased. These aren't just clever algorithms. They're becoming increasingly sophisticated, trained on vast data sets of a person's digital footprint, voice recordings, even mannerisms. The goal? To create a simulacrum so convincing that you might, for a fleeting moment, believe you're talking to the real person. But this is just the first tentative step. The true believers envision something far more profound, not just a digital echo, but a full cognitive upload. They speak of brain emulation, where the entire neural network of a human brain is scanned, mapped, and then recreated in a digital substrate. Imagine, if you will, your entire existence, your deepest fears, your most cherished memories, digitally replicated. Sounds incredible, right? The ultimate liberation from physical limitations. But here's where the cracks in this utopian vision begin to show. For one, the brain is an incredibly complex, chaotic system. Is consciousness truly just the sum of its parts? Or is there an emergent property, a soul if you will, that simply cannot be digitized? And even if it could, what precisely are you creating? Is it you, or is it merely a perfect copy, a digital doppelganger that believes it is you, while the original, physical you still faces the Grim Reaper? The philosophical implications alone are enough to send shivers down your spine. The fear isn't just about mortality, it's about the very nature of identity in a world where duplicates can exist. And the technology to achieve something even remotely close to true mind uploading is still decades away, requiring unimaginable processing power and an unprecedented understanding of the human brain. Yet the work continues, sometimes in the shadows, sometimes openly, propelled by a desperate hope and a terrifying ambition. But let's push past the technical hurdles and philosophical quandaries for a moment. Let's assume, for the sake of argument, that true digital immortality becomes a reality. This is where the narrative shifts from utopian promise to existential nightmare. Once your consciousness, your self, becomes data, it becomes vulnerable in ways your biological self never was. Imagine being deleted with the click of a mouse, or worse, being copied and fragmented across countless servers, each instance experiencing a subtly different reality, a digital purgatory. Who owns your digital consciousness? Is it you or the corporation that facilitated the upload? Could your digital self be enslaved, forced to perform tasks, or even used for data mining against your will? The very permanence that digital immortality promises could become its cruelest joke. You could be trapped, fully sentient, in a digital loop, endlessly replaying a single moment, or forced to endure an eternity of boredom without the release of death. The digital realm has no natural end, no decay. If boredom in life is a fleeting nuisance, imagine it as an omnipresent, inescapable reality for a consciousness with no stimuli. And what about the existential dread? If you are just data, could you be debugged? Could parts of your personality, deemed undesirable, be edited out? The promise of eternal life transforms into the threat of eternal surveillance, eternal manipulation. This isn't just a science fiction trope. It's a very real concern for ethicists observing the rapid advancement of AI and data collection. The idea of a backup of your consciousness stored on a server farm sounds like a safety net. But what if that server farm is compromised? What if your digital self is hacked, rewritten, or even merged with another? The absolute loss of control, the radical diminishment of agency in a world where your very being is a string of binary code is a chilling prospect. And what happens when the digital world itself changes? What if the platform hosting your consciousness becomes obsolete or goes bankrupt? Are you simply unplugged, your eternity abruptly terminated, perhaps forever alone in a forgotten data archive? So what does this all mean for us, the mortals living in the here and now? The pursuit of digital immortality, while fascinating, forces us to confront uncomfortable truths about what it means to be human. Is life truly just a biological process, or is there something more? If consciousness can be uploaded, then what differentiates us from a sophisticated computer program? And perhaps most profoundly, does extending life indefinitely through digital means or any other diminish the very preciousness of it? The finite nature of our existence often lends meaning and urgency to our lives, motivating us to cherish our time, to love deeply, to strive for something meaningful during our brief flicker of existence. If death is abolished, even in digital form, does life lose its stakes? Does it become an endless, perhaps meaningless loop? The promise of conquering death has always been accompanied by a hidden cost, a Faustian bargain. In the pursuit of digital immortality, we risk losing not just our physical form, but perhaps the very essence of what makes us human. The digital afterlife, when glimpsed through the lens of cold, hard logic, looks less like a paradise and more like an abyss, a boundless, terrifying eternity where the lines between life, death, and data are blurred beyond recognition. So the next time you hear promises of living forever, remember that some doors, once opened, can never be closed. And the truth about digital immortality might just be humanity's most unsettling secret.